Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing? This is Kim.
This is Andy.
And we're going to read to you from the Urantia book. First, we're going to read a little bit from Light the Flame by Andrew Harvey. Today's July 19th. And the reading is by Friedrich Nietzsche, who had a different idea of spirituality. I don't know. I tried to study philosophy, and it's not easy stuff, man.
No.
It's not easy stuff to study.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I know about Friedrich Nietzsche is he wanted to elevate mankind to a higher level, whatever that was. And you know what? But you could say that about Hitler too. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Okay. So he was a philosopher. Oh, just read it. Just read it.
Let my impatient love overflow in golden streams out of silent mountains and storms of affliction. Let my soul rush out to fertile new valleys.
Fertilize new valleys.
Fertilize new valleys.
Okay. So that's very lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Out of silent mountains and storms of affliction, let my love flow out of that, overflow in golden streams. Let my soul rush out to fertilize new valleys. So everybody wants to do good things,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think
how can we be so divided in what we think are good things?
It's not that we're divided in what we think are good things. It's really I think everybody wants the same basic things: peace of mind, okay, health, safety, just wellness,
Mm-hmm.
happiness, community, whatever. It's the methods here that of getting those things and who we trust and everything. I know Nietzsche believed in the Übermensch, the overman here, so that a higher development of the human race where we wouldn't need God. But I think that's the thing. And I think it's possible to do good things without God. Okay, what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's possible in the long run, in the grand scope, to be good without God. Because your goodness, eventually you have to realize where that's coming from. It's a gift. Just this ability to choose wisely is a gift. And if we don't have God, that choice gets harder, because we tend to, I think the natural drift is toward egotism.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. We just naturally start to drift toward egotism. And here, even in Nietzsche's writing here, it doesn't say God's love flow out. He wants my love, right?
Mm-hmm.
To overflow in golden streams, which is not a bad thing. That's a wonderful thing, but I'm going to run out of love eventually,
Well,
unless
each of us is not the source.
Because, unless I'm connected to the source. That's exactly it.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I can try to do all these wonderful things on my own, but if I don't have God in my life, eventually I'm going to run out of steam.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the truth of the tale. You know what? This last blackberry I saved for you. You're welcome. It's wonderful. We had blackberries this morning.
You can start reading them.
Yeah, because you'll be chewing on your blackberries. Okay, today we're reading paper 12, section 4, space and motion. Okay, so this is kind of sciencey, and we're talking about the nature of Havona and how it's related to physical reality. Because the pattern of Havona and paradise is kind of like the pattern of being, pattern of existence or something like that. Right?
Okay.
Physicality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm going to read it. All units of cosmic energy are in primary revolution, are engaged with the execution of their mission while swinging around the universal orbit. The universes of space and their component systems and worlds are all revolving spheres moving along the endless circuits of the master universe space levels. Absolutely nothing is stationary in all the master universe except the very center of Havona, the eternal isle of paradise, the center of gravity. Okay?
Okay.
The unqualified absolute is functionally limited to space, but we are not so sure about the relation of this absolute to motion. Right, because the unqualified absolute, as the yin, would be associated more with space and the yang more with time.
Mhm.
Okay?
Okay.
And that's a fuzzy thing to me, but it's just a loose association in my feeling. Okay, so the unqualified absolute is functionally limited to space, but we are not so sure about the relation of this absolute to motion. Is motion inherent therein? So is there motion in the unqualified absolute? We do not know. We know that motion is not inherent in space. Even the motions of space are not innate. Okay. But we are not so sure about the relation of the unqualified to motion. Who or what is really responsible for the gigantic activities of force energy transmutations now in progress out beyond the borders of the present 7 superuniverses? Concerning the origin of motion, we have the following opinions. Do you want to read?
Sure. Right after I say that whoever wrote this knows a lot more than we do, and they're not sure of some things.
Yeah, they're not sure. Like, okay, so what about, is there just like no motion in the unqualified absolute? So in the yin, the empty space that's yin, okay, is there anything moving in there? That dark part, the potentiality of something. Okay.
We think the conjoint actor initiates motion in space. If the conjoint actor produces the motions of space, we cannot prove it. Universal absolute does not organize initial motion, but does equalize and control all of the tensions originated by motion.
Okay.
In outer space, the force organizers are apparently responsible for the production of the gigantic universe wheels, which are now in process of stellar evolution, but their ability so
to function.
to function must have been made possible by some modification of the space presence of the unqualified absolute.
Okay, so they're saying like out there beyond creation, way out there, where there's absolutely nothing. There's nothing out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yet that they showed in the yesterday when I was reading, they actually are able to measure and that there's some things going on out there. So there's nothing out there.
So if the known universe as we observe it is constantly expanding, maybe
Yeah.
it's expanding into the unqualified.
Or into what they would say that is the outer space levels.
Mm-hmm.
The unqualified absolute, and that's kind of the domain of the unqualified absolute. But I think of the unqualified absolute as the yin and yang of everything, is like this substrata of reality. Okay, so it's inherent in everything, even though in physically speaking, the yin part or the unqualified absolute is strongest where there's empty space.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then if there's nothing, like imagine a vacuum, how is there motion in there if there's nothing to move?
Right.
But I think like the double slit experiment, there's nothing, there's only potential until it's observed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like on down the rabbit hole, I showed you that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think that they're able to come up here. It's the same old kind of paradox of the observer and the observed. When they observe it, they're able to observe a little something, but they don't know where it comes from. They turn their back and it's gone. But here, because they're looking for something, something is there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a paradox, but that's been observed in science, in that, I don't know, if you look up the double slit experiment. I'm not going to go into it here in detail, but that's the famous thing. Like, okay, and that leads to all these kind of conjectures, that is, if the tree falls in the forest, is anybody there to see it or to hear it? Does it really exist in the first place? Well,
Mm-hmm.
So there's all these kinds of things, thoughts about it. Okay, should I go again?
Go ahead.
Okay. Space is, from the human viewpoint, nothing, negative. It exists only as related to something positive and non-spatial. Space is, however, real. It contains and conditions motion. It even moves. Space motions may be roughly classified as follows. My phone's going on. Who's doing that? It's got to be. Okay, all right. It's nothing. It's nothing.
Okay, continue on.
Okay, so the space motions may be roughly classified as follows. 1, primary motion, which is space respiration, the motion of space itself. So there you have motion in space, sort of.
Respiration.
Right. So space expands and contracts regularly. Secondary motion, the alternate directional swings of the successive space levels. Okay, so the space levels are going around Havona one way, and then the next layer will go the other way, opposite way. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
3, relative motions. Relative in the sense that they are not evaluated with paradise as a base point. Primary and secondary motions are absolute. Motion in relation to unmoving paradise. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So those are relative motions. They're not evaluated. So the center of those motions is not paradise. Okay. 4, compensatory or correlating movement designed to coordinate all other motions. Okay, so the fill in the gaps kind of stuff.
Would that be for each action there's an equal and opposite reaction?
I'm hearing more like these are movements that are designed to coordinate all the other motions. So that's like the power directors and these guys coming forward to here to make this thing go along with this one more smoothly. Well, this is the idea that those constants in physics and stuff like that, like they don't come out of nowhere. It's kind of like that constant was made to at the intersection point between one force and another, and so that those things can work together to create whatever they're creating. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't know. The present relationship of your sun and its associated planets, while disclosing many relative and absolute motions in space, tends to convey the impression to astronomic observers that you are comparatively stationary in space, and that the surrounding starry clusters and streams are engaged in outward flight at ever increasing velocities as your calculations proceed outward in space. Yeah, that's what they measured. But such is not the case. Okay, so that's what science is telling us here. Everything's going away. You fail to recognize the present outward and uniform expansion of all pervaded space. Okay, so it's all together we're moving outward, I think. Your own local creation, Nebadon, participates in this movement of universal outward expansion. The entire 7 super universes participate in the 2 billion year cycles of space respiration, along with the outer regions of the master universe. Okay, so there's some things we're not taking into account.
It's a lot bigger out there than we ever thought.
When the universes expand and contract, the material masses in pervaded space alternately move against and with the pull of paradise gravity. Okay, the work that is done in moving the material energy mass of creation is space work, but not power energy work. So the work that is done in moving the material energy stuff. So it doesn't it's space work. So they have to move space along here, but not power energy work. See, it's like hard to know what does all that mean? I don't know.
Well, not so much from here on Urantia. It doesn't seem to be so relevant to our lives and understanding here on Urantia.
Yeah. Well, it's how things are moving out there, and where does movement come from and stuff like that. And what do they mean by power energy work? This is not power energy work. So it's not work the way physicists think of work. But I think the power directors and stuff are doing stuff out there. I don't know. Okay, I try to know things, but I don't. Okay, go ahead. It's your turn.
Although your spectroscopic estimations of astronomic velocities are fairly reliable when applied to the starry realms belonging to your superuniverse and its associate superuniverses. Such reckonings with reference to the realms of outer space are wholly unreliable. Spectral lines are displaced from the normal towards the violet by an approaching star. Likewise, these lines are displaced toward the red by a receding star. Many influences interpose to make it appear that the recessional velocity of the external universes creates or increases at the rate of more than 100 miles a second for every million light years increase in distance. By this method of reckoning, the subsequent
to the perfection.
subsequent to the perfection of more powerful telescopes, it will appear that these far distant systems are in flight from this part of the universe at the unbelievable rate of more than 30,000 miles a second. But this apparent speed of recession is not real. It results from the numerous factors of error, embracing angles of observation and other time-space distortions.
Okay, that's so interesting. So that, to me, that's addressing a problem that our astrophysicists are having today, right?
Right.
I don't know if astrophysicists had that problem back in like when this was being written in the yeah. I don't think that they were real keen on all that kind of stuff, and they sure didn't have a lot of the telescopes we have today.
Right. They didn't
But
have
they're yeah, they didn't have Hubble. They don't have like a lot of these observatories.
But the greatest of all such distortions arises because the vast universes of outer space and the realms next to the domains of the seven superuniverses seem to be revolving in a direction opposite to that of the grand universe. That is, these myriads of nebulae and their accompanying suns and spheres are at the present time revolving clockwise about the central creation. The seven superuniverses revolve about Paradise in a counterclockwise direction.
Right.
It appears that the second outer universe of galaxies, like the seven superuniverses, revolve counterclockwise about Paradise, and the astronomic observations of Urantia think they detect evidence of revolutionary movements in a third outer belt of far distant space, which are beginning to exhibit directional tendencies of a clockwise nature. Wow.
Okay, so it's like, okay, where's that paper? Okay, all right. So it's like, okay, so we've got, okay, you got Paradise, right? Okay, you got Paradise. Okay, and then you've got Havona around that. Okay, so this is on the pedal, right? I'm trying to draw these in a good way.
She's doing teacher artwork here.
I'm doing teacher artwork. Okay. So, and these here, let's say this is Orvantin, okay?
Okay. That's our super universe.
That's our super universe. And it just so happens that Nebadon is like on the fringe of Orvantin.
And Nebadon is our universe?
Is our universe, yeah. So these are moving clockwise. Okay, and then there's the outer universe level here. There's the outer universe level that's moving counterclockwise. So from here, it looks like things are going outward a lot, but because our universe is moving also, we're not taking that into account, that the whole thing is moving, right?
Right.
And then furthermore, it seems like stuff over here is going further, the outer universe stuff right here. This is what I drew. There's okay, so you've got Paradise and Havona here. There's Orvantin. Yeah, it doesn't look like that's Orvantin, and Nebadon is out here on the fringe of Orvantin. So these are going around this way. Of course, on my paper, it looks clockwise, but this is the opposite of that. Okay, whatever. But this here, so this looks like, because things are going this way, maybe it looks like it's moving away too, because we're going this way and everything else on the next universe level is going this way. So I think what they're saying is that our astronomers from here are observing things, not only here at the limits of the grand universe, but on the next level here, and it's observing these were, while we're going this way, they're going that way.
Mhm.
So it looks like things are moving. So there's not just one explanation for this either here. There's not just one explanation for that movement, that problem they're having in astrophysics, but there's a few different things contributing to that. You want to read this last part then?
Okay. It is probable that these alternate directions of successive space precessions or the universes have something to do with the intramaster universe gravity technique of the universal absolute, which consists of a coordination of forces and an equalization of space tensions. Motion as well as space is a complement or equilibrium of gravity.
Okay. Okay, so that's the end of that. It's the end today.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess what's the takeaway from this is that, okay, so this actually predicted some of this problem that astrophysicists are having today,
Mhm.
that the universe seems to be expanding at a greater rate. Now they use, of course, universe is everything. Okay, we're thinking of universe different ways, so everything is moving away too fast for them to account for, but they're failing to account for some of these other factors in the movements, that we're moving clockwise and the other things on the outer space levels are moving counterclockwise, and that the whole thing is, our super universe is moving as a collective outward. Okay?
Mhm.
Does that make any sense? I don't know. I get, okay, all right. Everything's good, I think. I think we got it.
I think so.
Is that a wrap?
That's right.
Okay, I hope I'm coherent. And gosh, you guys, I don't, this stuff is crazy. Science! She blinded me with science. And Urantia. What a combination, right?
Right?
Yep.
Yep.
God is in science, and science is in God.
Yes.
Yes. And so are we. Love you guys.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.